I've been in the Warrior Cats fandom for over 10 years at this point, and having been here as long as I have, you tend to see and even think of a lot of AU ideas. What if Hollyleaf was part of the three? What if Rusty had never joined ThunderClan? Or what if Swiftpaw had survived the dog attack? And not only do you tend to see these ideas thrown around, plenty of creative people have done the work to turn these into full projects, written or illustrated. I happen to have an AU idea of my own that I've talked about in the past, and it's about time I did a full introduction video for it. For those of you who are just stumbling across this video and have never seen my stuff, hi, I'm Boomtown, and I guess at this point you can call me a Warrior Cats YouTuber, as weird as that sounds to me. For quite a while, I've been working on an AU Warriors fanfic called The Burning Light. I've mentioned it in the past, and I've even done a few videos on it as well, but the only real introduction video I did for it in the past is horribly outdated at this point. So this video was actually supposed to come out in December, and then I got sick. And this video was supposed to be an announcement for the prologue, chapter 1, and chapter 2 of the story being posted. I still ended up posting the first few chapters in December, so they're up right now if you want to go read them. So what is The Burning Light? In summary, it's an AU fanfic about the idea of what if Firestar was killed by Scourge during the Darkest Hour, and how would that change things in the Warriors universe over 30 years later. To go into more detail, the clans are forced from their home and end up at the Lake Territories 3 books too early. Ever since, they've lived in peace from BloodClan, not really with themselves because it's Warrior Cats, I don't know what you expect. But over time, they've harbored this generational fear that someday their attackers could return for them a second time. Back in BloodClan, the forest still gets destroyed, so it really was all for nothing in the end. And BloodClan is forced back into the city. As generations pass, Scourge and his descendants allow for BloodClan to grow and thrive with their newly gained skills and knowledge from having lived in the forest. At this point, BloodClan has taken over the entire city and has grown from an unorganized group of city cats to a full-fledged clan with a ranking system, including a council and even a law enforcement group that are called the Guardians. Now we arrive in the present day with our 2 protagonists, rogue cats named Sunny and Blossom. These 2 were born in BloodClan but were not members of it, and were raised together after they both lost their families. They were taken in by one cat in particular, a former BloodClan guardian named Ahi, who fled her high-ranking position to take in and save Sunny. Something terrible happened though, and they were separated from Ahi and were forced to flee from the city when they were only 8 months old. They ended up finding ThunderClan and have been living there for 3 months at the point the story starts. Things are great. They're safe and protected and have found companionship in ThunderClan's apprentices, and some cats in the clan even advocate for them to officially join. Regardless of that though, their status as not being clan-born is not overlooked by ThunderClan's majority, and Sunny still feels like an outsider as a result. Desperate for ThunderClan's approval, she turns her efforts into befriending the only ThunderClan apprentice that isn't her friend, the hardworking and cold Pinepaw. As her goal of befriending Pinepaw becomes harder and harder, BloodClan attacks suddenly, leaving ThunderClan in a confused panic and Sunny and Blossom with one question in particular: are they ever going to escape BloodClan? And that's all I can say about the plot. The story itself will be about 50 chapters long, not including the allegiances, prologue, and epilogue, and will be split into 3 acts. The first act is titled Changed Fate and focuses on just Sunny as the point of view character as she navigates dealing with both Pinepaw and the BloodClan threat. In Act 2, her companion Blossom joins as a point of view, and in the third act, 2 more characters join, making the final point of view count at 4 characters. I will not say who those last 2 characters are just yet, but it should be pretty obvious by the time Act 1 is wrapping up. Now onto the plans for The Burning Light. I'm not going to make any promises with an actual upload schedule, but I'm hoping to have them out semi-regularly. I will aim for like 1 a month at the least. Aside from The Burning Light's main story, I plan on writing at the very least 1 short story about one of the side characters. The one that's looking the most likely at the moment is one focused around the current leader of ThunderClan, Morningstar. I have a few other ideas floating around that I would like to do, but the Morningstar book is the only one I will talk about for now, since it's the only one that's gone further than just a, this would be cool, I want to write this kind of thing. But anyway, like I said before, this video was supposed to come out in December. but then I got a cold and wasn't able to finish it. Originally, I was going to have the prologue, chapter 1, and chapter 2 up with the video as a surprise, but they're already out. So if you go to the AO3 link right now, the first few chapters are already out. And as a bonus, since this video got delayed, surprise! Chapter 3 is out now as well. So go have fun with that. Now on to a little Q&A. I asked for questions a while back and I got a couple, so let's get into those. Very basic question, but how did you come up with the story? What pushed you into making it a bigger thing? So, story time. Warrior Cats was the thing that pushed me into becoming interested in art. And if you want to be specific about what it was about Warrior Cats that pushed me into that direction, it was Warrior Cats speed paints on YouTube. I was obsessed. And in all these speed paints, I saw the artists put a link in the description to a funny little site called DeviantArt. Even though I was way too young to be on the internet, I made an account and decided I wanted to make an original character that I could use to depict myself online, and that ended up being a character named Shining Spirit, a neon orange cat with white markings and blindingly bright blue eyes. And oh yes, she had anime hair. I named my account after her and started posting art. A little while later, I decided I wanted to write my own Warriors fanfic, and I thought of an idea. What if you wrote a fanfic where every character was owned by someone else? You'd have people submit their characters, and from there you'd be able to build full clans of established characters. I thought it was fun, and I put out an application. Surprisingly, a few people actually submitted their OCs, and The Burning Light was made. Actually, no it wasn't. The Fight Begins was made, a very terrible fanfic that had no plot whatsoever, and it was just me coming up with random things as I wrote the chapters. It was really fun, and I look back at that time so fondly, but yeah, no, it was not good. Shining Spirit was the definition of a Mary Sue. Like, if you go and look up Mary Sue, I would not be surprised if Shining Spirit shows up. She doesn't. I know she doesn't, but like, I wouldn't be surprised. And of course she was the main character, because what else does an 11-year-old writing a fanfiction on DeviantArt do? I made her many love interests, had her get with a Shadow Clan cat and have half-clan babies named Rainbow Kit and Wild Kit, then dramatically killed her off, only for her to pull a holly leaf and reveal herself as alive, just in time for the final battle. And like, to really push the holly leaf thing, I basically quote-unquote killed her off in the exact same way. It was like she went into a tunnel and rocks fell on her. I literally could not think of anything better. Apparently, I was just like, I want to do something like holly leaf, so yeah, let's do exactly that. It's just so funny. I can't. Anyways, as time passed, I drifted away from the friends I made on DeviantArt, but that story never left my brain. I still drew myself online as Shining Spirit for years. and continued making stuff for The Fight Begins for the few people I was still talking with at the time. But then something changed. I was in the 8th grade when I got into Hamilton. And just like everyone was at the time, I was obsessed with it. And listening to Hamilton over and over and over and over and over again led to me becoming more creatively inspired than I had been in so long. It got to the point that I grabbed the first project that I could think of to rework, and that was The Fight Begins. I started remaking the whole thing and began to base story and character ideas around the music. I ended up retiring everyone else's OCs and created my own, which helped in the rewriting process since I was no longer tied down to ensuring that I was being true to other people's characters. The cast was now all characters that I had made myself, and therefore I had complete creative control over. I came up with the idea of it being an AU tied around Scourge defeating Firestar, renamed it The Burning Light, reworked everything to be set around the lake and be focused on the 4 canon clans, set the story 30 years after the Darkest Hour, created all new Blood Clan lore, renamed Shining Spirit to Sunwish, retired her as my warrior cat Sona while letting her stay as the protagonist, and so much more. All the while, I was just continuously fueled by the inspiration that it sparked thanks to the aforementioned Founding Father musical. Even though Hamilton is now not as beloved as it was in the past, a lot of the inspiration I took from it has lingered on in little ways, funnily enough. One main example is Sunny herself. The song Non-Stop was the thing that made me figure out what I wanted her character arc to be. Like her whole character arc. The thing driving her character forward, that was the song that made me figure her out. Not everything has remained as it was originally conceived, obviously, but I do think it's kind of funny how much of the original Hamilton inspiration has unintentionally lingered on in some way or another. So, TLDR, the answer to those questions are A. Warrior Cat speed paints and DeviantArt, and B. Hamilton. I adore seeing everybody's Warriors OCs and their fanfiction, and just being wrapped up in cool world building. So, were there any inspirations for the writing or world building outside of just being Warriors related? Did you struggle trying to separate the Burning Light from canon? Were there decisions you made, big or little, that you felt made the current version better than previous iterations? Very good question. I would say the main writing and world building inspirations I've had were Attack on Titan and Arcane, my two favorite shows of all time. More specifically, every single part of Attack on Titan because it is perfect, and Arcane Season 1, which is the only season of Arcane. What a shame they never made that second season. Oh well. The writing in both is phenomenal, and I've taken so much inspiration from both. Mostly Attack on Titan just because it's been around longer. As for if I struggled to separate the Burning Light from canon, I can't say I did. The only canon characters I plan to reference at all in the Burning Light are Firestar and Scourge, ignoring the characters I name drop in the Firestar point of view in the prologue. If you've already read it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. That reminds me, go read it. Anyways, aside from them, the entire cast is made up of original characters, and I found it very easy to just get wrapped up in the Burning Lights lore and kind of forget the actual series canon for a moment. And oh yes, there have been so many decisions I have made that have made the story better, and I will talk about two for now. In one of the past Burning Light videos I made, I mentioned the character Oscar. He's Blossom's dad, and originally he was going to be in the same situation as Ahi. Sunny and Blossom escape from Blood Clan, find Thunder Clan, and one of their biggest conflicts while they're there is about where Ahi is, and if it's even possible that she's alive. Originally, Oscar was going to be included in this, being another potentially dead or alive character for Sunny and Blossom to think about. In the end, though, I realized that unlike Ahi, Oscar just didn't have any reason to be there. I had no plans for his role in the story, and so I more or less removed him. He's still there, and he's still Blossom's dad, but he's only gonna show up a few times, and the reason why is shown pretty early on, so look out for that. And the second instance, there's a character introduced in Act 1 who becomes a prominent character in Act 2, and the original plan was that by the end of the act she was going to die, and that's how it has always been actually. In the earliest iteration of the Burning Light I wrote back in the 6th grade, I made up this very dramatic scene of this character dying, and I got very attached to it, enough to have drawn a whole bunch of fan art for it, and I've gotten a whole bunch of other people to draw fan art for it, but I also left it as is for years. But then in the last year or so of rewriting the story, I realized that killing this character off wasn't the best idea, and the only reason I had kept it was because I had gotten attached to the cool death scene I had crafted in my head back in middle school. The idea of killing this character off at this moment was completely stupid. Now, I am no stranger to killing off characters when you need to add just a little bit of shock, but this was way too dramatic, especially since this character was very easily written into the last act, and I've now gotten even more uses out of them than I originally would have. This character is supposed to be important after all, and how important can a character be if you only let them be important for like half an act of a story? So the mystery character lives. You'll have to figure out who it is because I ain't telling you. This is another basic question in my opinion, and maybe a little blunt, but what are you writing the Burning Light for? Very easy to answer question. The answer is me. I'm writing it for myself. It's mostly a project I'm working on for my own self-indulgence. I've gotten attached to the characters, and I've always wanted a big project like this that I can finish. One that I can look back on after the work is done and go, yeah, I made that. How cool is that? Also, it's very nostalgic for me. The characters have lived up in my brain and have been slowly evolving over the past 10 years, and I have grown up with them. It only makes sense that I give them love by finishing their story. To me, the Burning Light is intended intended to be my step into creative writing and creating characters. I'd love to someday write a story separated from any piece of media and put that out into the world as well, but honestly, I can't even begin to think about what that could be right now, because anytime I do, my mind always goes back to the Burning Light. I think at this point, I have so many ideas and thoughts about the Burning Light that any other creative ideas end up becoming overwhelming to me. Oh, also, I talked with Sunny and she told me I have to, so who am I to refuse her? And then one final question from me that I threw in. What's your favorite character that you've written, and what are some characters we should keep an eye on? I love Sunny, but oh man, Pine Paw, I love her. I love her. I especially love her in Act 2 and 3. Her character just really takes off then, and oh man, I really love her. If I were to get rid of Sunny as the protagonist or point of view and replace her with anyone, it would be Pine Paw. I love her that much. I also really love Jasper. He's probably the most relevant Blood Clan guardian to the story, and he has a connection to Sunny's adoptive mom, Ahi, who was also a Blood Clan guardian before she took in Sunny. I really love him too. Oh, also, if you want to see Jasper, he's in Chapter 2, which is up right now, so you can go see him. You can go see my boy. Anyways, as for characters you should keep an eye out for, those would be Tawny Paw from Shadow Clan, Thornstrike from Wind Clan, and the modern day Scourge. You should be watching them and keeping an eye on them for vastly different reasons, but these three are very important in their own little ways. And that's the Burning Light. The prologue, Chapter 1, Chapter 2, and Chapter 3 are up right now if you want to go read them, but please do. The story and these characters mean the world to me, so if I were to ask you to do anything, please support the story. I have plans to make even more videos on the Burning Light moving forward, so this won't just be on AO3, there will be plenty of Burning Light stuff here on YouTube. I would also love to hear suggestions on things you'd be interested in seeing, in terms of video ideas I mean. I already have plans to potentially do videos discussing the chapters as they're posted, as well as maybe some sort of clan gen, Splash Clan type video where I go over the characters and draw them. I would also love to do some sort of actual clan gen series where I edit a clan to be ThunderClan in the Burning Light, so we can watch the characters do stuff in the game, but I suck at editing clan gen files, so we'll see if I can figure that out. About my other projects, Splash Clan and Silent Clan stuff are coming, I promise. Just be patient. These videos are not easy for me to edit. They are very mentally taxing to do, and overworking myself to try and pump out videos leads to horrible burnout, which is why I post a bunch within a short period of time and then am gone for months on end. So they'll come out when they come out, I promise. Either way, that's that, and I will be back with more videos soon.